This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2, Thank you, David. Welcome to DBL. It is Tuesday, August 17th. I'm Tori here with Al and Brandon. Good to see you, gentlemen.
Yeah,
Let's
morning.
get started, everyone, because we are finally hearing from CNN's Chris Cuomo about his brother's resignation as governor of New York and the advice he gave him. So here's what Chris had to say last night on his show. Take a look.
I wasn't in control of anything. I was there to listen and offer my take. And my advice to my brother was simple and consistent. Own what you did. Tell people what you'll do to be better. Be contrite. And finally, accept that it doesn't matter what you intended. What matters is how your actions and words were perceived. I did urge my brother to resign when the time came. I tried to do the right thing, and I just want you all to know that.
So why he's doing this sort of mea culpa, if you didn't know, is people are sort of trying to cancel, at this point, Chris Cuomo for not addressing it, not having his brother on to talk about it. He's saying there was a CNN actual memo that's like, you can't. What do we think about this reasoning? Al, what do you think?
I mean, if there was a CNN mandate and he did have to follow it, then what are we talking about? I don't know if he was obligated to talk about it. I don't think he could have gone forward without discussing it. But look, he tied himself to his brother's boat, and that helped with the ratings. It was interesting to see their dynamic on television. It was interesting to hear what an acting governor was thinking in real time, and I think people gravitated towards that. People like Chris, and at the time, Governor Cuomo was as popular of a governor as there was. And so when things start to go south, Brandon. We can't jump off the boat then.
No, we can't, but if CNN did have some sort of policy put in place, that was kind of like a lifeline for him. Because just think, in the normal world, if you have a brother or a sister family member who had a DUI, got arrested for something, you're not going to want to talk about that to anyone. Now, put that in the public light to where this man is being accused for alleged sexual assault or some sort of abuse. You're not going to want to talk about that on the mass scale anyway. So he had to address it. Luckily, CNN had some sort of policy for him. We're not gonna talk about it that much longer. We've got Afghanistan going on, so it's gonna be something that just gets brushed under.
Yeah,
news cycle.
Yeah, very true. All right, well, tennis star Naomi Osaka had a really tough time at a recent press conference. It's her first one since revealing her mental health struggles and when she withdrew from the French Open 3 months ago. So let me just paint a picture here. It all started with a reporter asking her a question about her interactions with the press. Take a look and see what you think.
You're not crazy about dealing with us, yet you have a lot of outside interests that are served by having a media platform.
What does that refer to?
I think we can move on to the next question. Naomi, do you want to move on to the next question?
No, I'm actually very interested in that, point of view. I'm not really sure how to balance it too. I'm figuring it out at the same time as you are.
So moments later, Naomi broke down in tears and actually had to step away from the microphone. So I want to know what you guys think at home, and I'm going to ask my panel here. Do you think Naomi Osaka should get special treatment by the press, or is this the price she pays for being a public figure? Did you think the reporter was out of line? I want to know what you thought, and do we deal with kid gloves here? What do you think?
It's not about kid gloves. It's not about dancing around, not trying to ask her hard questions. It's about this girl does what she's supposed to do. She cannot help that she is one of the greatest in the world. So when this reporter asks her, oh, you're benefiting off of your platform, she's going out there and she's seeking this attention. She doesn't seek attention. She doesn't want to do the press conferences, Al. She doesn't want to do any of it. Because
Not the
why?
First athlete that didn't want to do press conferences.
Exactly, and she's doing her job. So when we talk about people continue to press on her and continue to try and elicit some sort of response out of her, remember that interview Barbara Walters did with Britney Spears back in the day that we all laughed at back in the day, but now we look back at it and it was like, hey, this could have contributed to her mental breakdown. This is what's going to go down to this young lady, and it's unfortunate.
Listen, I got to push back, and I want to know your take. I agree with you. I don't like when someone's crying, and I also love Naomi Osaka. She's donating. She's half Haitian. She's giving the money she makes in the next tennis game to Haiti because of the awful earthquake that they just had.
Yep.
I think she's a really interesting person. However, when you decide to be a public figure, you do pay the price because you get perks. And because of that, you are expected to show up and advertise for the tournaments that need money and eyeballs. So I don't think it's fair to say she's an athlete and she shouldn't be doing any of the athletic parts around her at all. Because being an athlete in this day and age is selling yourself a bit. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong. You know, and I said it when Brandon was talking, when we start talking about athletes, because there have famously been athletes like Marshawn Lynch that said, I'm just here so I don't get fined. It became a meme.
Wow.
He copywrote it. Like,
he did the base,
yes,
the minimum.
He licensed it. That's his phrase now. There have been a lot of athletes that don't want to speak to the press, and there's a reason for that. We watched a documentary last night about the Malice in the Palace. There was a fight in 2004.
2004, yeah.
We all highly recommend it. We've all seen it.
And when you look back just 17 years ago at how that was covered, how that destroyed those young men's careers, basically, everyone was calling them thugs. Bob Costas was on there, throwing the
Stephen A.
T-word
Smith,
around.
yep.
Everybody throwing the, and so at the time that was considered normal, and that's just what the press does. But the press isn't some giant that lives in the hillside that just comes to visit us. The press is us. They're giving us what we want. And maybe some of us are saying, we don't want to see a young person push to this point. Have her talk about the match and let her go. She's talked about her mental health. We're assuming she'll come back, and when she does, we'll expound from there.
That's fair. I think that's a really fair point.
The press is you're about to get pushed out. You're no longer going to get that access that people are going to want to that athlete or to that celebrity, because you see this celebrity or this athlete does not want to confirm or deny your narrative. So no matter what you say, Thore, no matter what you were going to say after YouTube's press conference, they're going to what? Take that little soundbite, take that little snippet, write it how they want, and go try and get clickbait, because the press has to make money off of that press conference.
It's a boundary now. It's a boundary, though. It's interesting to see. All right, before we go to break, we have got a crazy viral video of an alligator attacking its handler at a Utah reptile center. But a quick warning to our viewers, the video does contain some disturbing content, so
we heard what you said.
Yeah, so this all happened at a children's birthday party. Oh my God, the alligator unexpectedly chomps down on the employee's hand. The woman climbs into the cage to try and pry it loose, but the alligator spins her around. That's when a Good Samaritan jumps into the enclosure to try and help. He gets on the alligator's back. Eventually, the alligator releases the woman's hand, but the man is left stuck on top of the alligator. Finally, after a few minutes, he jumps off its back and gets out of the enclosure. Now, the employee was hospitalized, but is recovering.
If you know what that guy said to the employee right after that.
What's that?
So this is free, right? I don't have to pay for this, right?
Well, Brandon, you're bringing up employees. Where were they? What do you mean a few minutes? He was sitting in there. Can we get some security?
I was just thinking minutes?
They have security at Starbucks in Manhattan. What do you do?
It looked fun when the crocodile hunter did it, but now when you have to do it in real life, and he messed up his Jordans. Those are Jordan 1s.
And if you guys don't know,
that's the death roll.
That's called the death roll, and an alligator will do that so you drown. So this is incredibly amazing that this man stepped in. Would either of you have stepped in? Clearly, you know I would have run in immediately to save the man. Immediately.
Are you being serious?
I'm being 1,000% serious.
I honestly believe you see the two black men down here.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, bro.
Come on now. Come on.
Hey, man.
I would have pulled her away, but I'm not jumping in there.
I don't think that would have been what you want to do is get into a tug of war with an alligator in her forearm.
I at least have to say that I tried, Al. My child is sitting there. My kids are there.
Like even banged on the glass.
Yeah, we're not at a Kings game. That's not gonna banging on the glass isn't gonna help. But
hey, you!
They're not known for their hearing. I don't.
You stop it!
Yeah. Oh you guys don't want me to do this.
Okay. I'll stop.
Don't you make me come in there.
Tiny brains. They only do one thing except eat. So I don't know. I don't know if I would have been in there. But shout out to that dude.
Yeah, very brave. Coming up on DBL, have you ever wondered what Beyonce smells like? Who hasn't? Or Meryl Streep? You might be surprised by what other people say are the signature scents of celebrities.
Closed captioning provided by
What's going on, DBL Nation? We are getting prepped right now because we're about to play a cool game. As Thore teased, what do you think celebrities smell like? I don't know why celebrities' bathing habits are such a big thing.
Bring it on. Do
in
a
the,
wide shot for all three
news
of
right
us.
now. Take a shot.
Do a wide shot because all three of us, I gotta ask.
Yes,
Be careful you
watch
don't fall
yes.
down. Tiffany, we gotta ask, and you can use the camera to say yes or no, okay? What do we care about this bathing thing anymore? I don't care.
Well,
I don't care.
I'm gonna say more no than yes.
Oh my God,
But I
Erica
do
said because of
think-
sanitation, because of pandemic. I don't care anymore.
Well, I think that that's a thing now. It's like how often do you bathe, and I think it could be a deal breaker for some people. I think we've all dated somebody that either wore a scent that you didn't dig, or didn't bathe maybe as much as you wanted them to. It's a thing, and maybe like.
And now, do you see when you go in the bathroom with your friends, will you say something to one of your friends if they don't wash their hands?
Hell yeah, if it's not 20, I go, happy
yes,
birthday to, everyone's like, please be quiet.
Yeah,
No,
you got to do it.
The Denver airport, you'll be surprised how many people don't wash their hands. It's
Now
crazy.
name if you could on the chat, if you could, your least favorite scent from like high school. For me, it's gonna always be that Aqua de Gio. That always stuck out for me. Some people have Ricard Noir.
That was good.
Some people
I
have
think it
Cool
smelled
Water
that bad.
or
I think
Pleasures, Estee
it
Lauder
became
Pleasures.
a public thing to make fun of it. But I think it's like, you know what it was? It was like those cheap colognes that would be like at the front of TJ Maxx.
Or sun ripened raspberries from Bed Bath and Beyond. That was a big one.
I never liked that smell.
Cucumber melon.
It's
this is
too
what
much.
He really said.
The original Old Spice
Please.
was terrible.
It was
and then I
horrendous.
might be aging myself, but
I like
Brute,
Old Spice.
Brute.
Yeah.
Remember that
Brute.
Brute?
People like Brute.
Brute with the green and black.
So write in your most iconic smell. Keep it friendly.
Who used to have that aftershave like
Keep it
electric?
Welcome back to DBL. We've been talking a lot, I mean a lot, about celebrities and their bathing habits. Like a lot. In fact, even though Matthew McConaughey doesn't wear deodorant, he apparently smells like granola and good living. I don't know what that means. So we wanted to find out what some other stars have been told they smell like. For example, Beyonce. So first, before we go, and don't roll the prompter, what do we all think Queen Bey smells like?
Just a garden full of money.
I was gonna say it seems like the first time that you open the inside of a private jet, no one's been in there.
Yeah.
Just that like
New.
leather
Yeah.
and just brand new,
New.
marble. Yeah.
I think floral, new, but also a little bit of like goddessness. Like she's above everyone.
That doesn't smell like anything.
Okay,
that's
great.
That's
so
not
actually, according to model Winnie Harlow, Beyonce smells like lemons and cocoa butter.
Okay. Lemonade was an album, right?
Very
There we
good
go.
call. Very great album. Okay, here's the next one. Oprah. What do you think Oprah smells like before we roll prompter?
I feel like she's like a juicer, so I feel like she smells like a fresh garden.
I was gonna
She's got a
She
bunch
does
of
have a
them.
good garden.
Like a Barnes and Noble.
Oh, yeah,
You know, the
that's
book
good.
club. Yeah,
Book club?
yeah. Just
That nice smell. Okay, and I'm gonna
That
go
nice
with
smell of
an oak.
rotting paper.
Rotting paper. I like an oak tree, so same kind of garden smell. There are
the
two-
color purple?
No, the oak tree. She has a lot of oak tree. She loves
okay,
trees.
yeah.
There are two answers to this. Actor James Marsden has said that Oprah smells like diamonds. And Andy Cohen says Oprah's scent had a floral note with a hint of gardenia and a bountiful garden. So we were right.
Did anybody have the nerve to say somebody stank? Like, honestly, can we be honest?
Well,
like,
let's go to the next one. What
Okay.
about Kanye West? What do we think Kanye West smells like?
This is not an insult, but I think there's some times where he's probably a little musty, because I think when you're a true genius, bathing, grooming goes away because you get so focused. I'm assuming a lot of guys that wrote like orchestras and things like that also,
like
they're
Beethoven
not,
was like
they're
that.
not exfoliating. They got
Okay.
other things they're doing.
And sweat because he wears the big masks,
The
not
big
even the
masks.
ones to cover you up
Very
for
true.
the virus.
Very true.
So.
All right, this should come as no surprise. His ex Kim Kardashian has said he smells like money.
Oh, okay.
Whoa.
Yeah. Everything the man touches.
Easy way to get out of it.
Yeah, right?
And
All right.
Does
How about-
money smell good? Like which money? Like straight from the bank, payday money, or like bodega money? You know, like those crinkled.
Oh, I know bodega money. That's the good money. You find those in your couch. All right, Robert Pattinson. Any idea what he smells like? I feel like he smells, and I don't know why, like cigarettes in Europe. Like he's very like indie filmy.
And the leather jacket with the white tee underneath.
And very-
Whatever smell that is.
I think that's what we're skipping over is we're talking about all these celebrities, and like if this was 50 years ago, they would all smell like probably
Booze
cigs
and
and whiskey.
cigs and whiskey
it's the thing
scotch,
now,
yeah.
It's just hard to find.
It's true. I just think he smells a little indie.
I get a little Axe body spray, but like whatever levels
So
up from
level
that,
up.
he's not using Axe.
Someone said yes out here. All right. Well, Robert has said that people have told him he smells like a crayon.
I can.
That's just wax.
Yeah, it's just wax. Okay.
It's not great.
Thanks a lot. Burnt sienna and Meryl Streep. What could the multi-award-winning actress smell like? Meryl Streep to me smells like a straw, like a wheat field.
No. If like snapping your fingers was a smell, she would smell like
Really?
that. Like, you know what I mean? It's like the
Spicy.
goddessness.
There's a very distinct smell that anybody that went to their grandmother's house knows. Because old school women would have like a gold tray.
Yeah.
And they'd have like a couple scents. Estee Lauder be
And their
on
own
there.
potpourri.
Face creams.
Opium.
And it would,
I know what you're talking about. No,
Opio.
it's a type of perfume. Excuse me. It's a very
Oh.
famous perfume.
Shoot.
It is. My mom wears it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Are we sure we're
I'm
talking about the
hoping
same
that
thing?
it's just a perfume.
Okay, but yeah, that smell of just like somebody that like takes care of themselves from head to toe.
I feel you.
That was Marcella.
Almost like powdered all the way down.
Yes.
All right, the answer is success.
These are not.
What's that?
Or that room in the house that you're not allowed to go in that has all the plastic on it.
There was a guest
But still
room.
smells good.
What's your favorite smell to have of someone? Like when you walk by someone, what's something that, like when someone smells like the beach, I'm like on it.
I like the smell of like Lagerfeld on like an older dude who reminds me of my dad.
Oh, wow.
It's that old school 80s cologne. I remember that smell from him picking
Feel
me up from
family.
school.
Vanilla candles. That
Yes.
vanilla scent. You walk into a house.
I think men like vanilla more than women.
Because they like the smell cooking of baking. I've read about that.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
It is. Interesting, guys. Well, let us know what you think we all smell like in this stimulating segment. Coming up on DBL, we're getting a dose of body positivity from Whitney Way Thore. How her show, My Big Fat Fabulous Life, is helping others be more accepting of themselves. Welcome back to DBL. She knows firsthand that in order to find your prince, you need to kiss a few frogs. So can Whitney Way Thore find love across the pond on the new season of My Big Fat Fabulous Life? We spoke to her earlier in today's Chatting with the Stars.
He is my French tutor. Je m'appelle Whitney. I want to see if I can turn my tutor into a suitor.
Ooh, hi Whitney, welcome to DBL. You are a beacon of light for body positivity. You believe body shaming and judgment are not welcome. I love that. Is that message getting harder to convey or easier? I just wanted your take on that.
Oh, I think it's definitely getting easier. I mean, I just look at, through the 9 seasons that My Big Fat Fabulous Life has been airing on TLC, it's a completely different landscape. In fact, I think that the way I got started was through a viral dance video. And I think that if I'd done that dance video today, it would have gotten absolutely no attention. But that would actually be a wonderful thing because we're more used to seeing fat women doing things in the public eye. So it's definitely getting better, but we still have a lot of work to do.
Well said.
Well, Whitney, there are people that ask this question because they're trying to be divisive, and there are people that are going to ask this question because they genuinely want to know. So what do you say to the debate that you can't be healthy and overweight? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's nonsense. However, what I would really say to it is that it doesn't matter. We don't look at people who have cancer. We don't look at people who have other health problems and say, well, we loved you until this happened to you. We only do that to fat people. So I would say that it doesn't matter if we're healthy or not. Skinny people can be healthy and unhealthy. It makes a person no less worthy or deserving of respect, period.
Lovely. I like how she's just like done,
and
period.
With a period.
Yeah,
with a T.
With the T at the end. I love that. All right, now I do want to get into l'amour. You ended your engagement last year. Since then, you've been busy looking for love, my dear. I want to know, was it hard to start dating again after being in such a committed...
I wasn't really looking. It just happened, and I think it's pretty quintessential pandemic project to get involved with someone online who lives across the ocean. But I think something that COVID taught us is that we're all just really striving for connection. And I think a lot of us turn to the internet to achieve that in ways that we never would have if we didn't have to. So it was a surprise to me. I think it was definitely a surprise to him as well. And I'm happy to report that I did just actually return from France yesterday. So I have taken the relationship from virtual to 3D. But you'll have to watch the season to see how it all turns out.
Those are better. Those are 3D relationships.
Now. I love
4K.
It.
That's always better for everyone.
When I saw this interview on the schedule, it just hit me that you've been on my television for a long time. So you know something about being famous. They say that it's not all it's cracked up to be. What's the biggest downside of fame for you?
Well, I think certainly the lack of privacy, which is something that I just deal with. But the French man, for example, does not deal with that. He does not want to be a really public person. So he is actually blurred throughout the season. He's covered up on my social media.
Good for him.
It's a really difficult thing to deal with and a lot to give up. And I think also just the fact that I'm a very public target for harassment, hatred, abuse, and not only online, also in real life. But there's also a lot of positives that come with it, and I'm really happy to do what I do ultimately.
It's funny. I married a very private person.
I was going to bring your husband up,
right?
and I wasn't sure if that was cool, but yeah.
Yeah, so I feel you about that. It's really interesting. A lot of our co-hosts also married quite private people, and I'm like, the openest book, the best ever, So is there any secrets you can share about new season coming up? Anything?
Well, I mean, I don't want to give too much away, but I am one step closer to having a baby. I'll say that.
Yeah.
And my Nobius Active Fitness platform is expanding in really awesome ways. And there's a love story here that I think is worth watching. It's definitely been worth living.
There you go.
I hope
3D.
people can see that and feel seen.
I love that. All right, we can't wait for this. Thank you, Whitney. DBL Nation, do not miss the premiere of My Big Fat Fabulous Life, Tuesdays on TLC. Love is in the air. I can't wait. We'll be right back. Thank you so much, Whitney.
Thanks, Whitney.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
so we keep addressing it. No, the vaccines do not cause infertility. Now, as important as it is to say that, it's also important for us on the Verify team to explain how we know they do not cause infertility. This question came in from a viewer. Heard many rumors about long-term infertility rates surrounding the COVID-19 vaccines. Can you verify this? We sure can.
There's no evidence that fertility is affected at all by the vaccine.
Our sources are Dr. Tony Shalley, a reproductive toxicologist, and the CDC. The CDC has an entire webpage dedicated to vaccines and pregnancy. And at the top it says very clearly, currently no evidence shows that any vaccines, including the COVID-19 vaccines, cause fertility problems trying to get pregnant in men or women. People have received vaccines for years, and Dr. Tony Shalley says infertility has never been a concern.
No, vaccines don't cause infertility. There's also no mechanism that would suggest that theoretically they could cause infertility.
So we can verify, not only do the COVID-19 vaccines not cause any fertility issues, no vaccines approved in the U.S. have been linked to fertility issues in men or women.
You can understand the concerns about new medicines and vaccines. However, numerous professional medical organizations also recommend people wanting to get pregnant get the vaccine. So let's say it again. There is no evidence of any fertility issues caused by the COVID-19 vaccine or any vaccine. With your Verify, I'm Matt Gregory.
Welcome back to DBL. We love sharing your comments. All right, Daniel Page Brandon says, Daniel Page says, Brandon looks like the Old Spice guy.
Yeah, so there's a comment there.
Let me get that Old Spice money, please.
And finally, why is celebrities' bathing habits even making the news? We ask the same questions every day. DBL's New Every Day. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. Bye, guys.